Sunday morning already started with nearly 100 kilometers on the bike during the Corsa Campagnolo ride, organized by our friends from WTC Den Blok Aalst. Thank you for the great organization, guys. A beautiful ride through the rolling roads of the Zwift region, almost 800 meters of climbing, good weather, great atmosphere, and honestly, the legs were already feeling it. But there was one problem. I still hadn't raced stage 4 of the Zwift 4x4 series. Because of our gruppetto trip to Katzand and today's planned outdoor ride, this race kept getting postponed. And by Sunday afternoon, my weekly mileage was sitting at exactly 380 kilometers. So naturally, my brain started doing cyclist math. One more race, roughly 20 kilometers, and boom, 400 kilometers for the week. Perfect. The only question was this an absolutely terrible idea? Because after already riding 100 kilometers earlier that day, I now had to race in my attic, which had basically turned into a Belgian sauna. 30 degrees Celsius, no airflow, sticky summer heat everywhere. Not exactly peak racing conditions. So the big question became, could I actually be competitive in these conditions? Or was this race simply about surviving and satisfying my slightly neurotic obsession with ending the week on a clean 400 kilometers? And honestly, there was only one way to find out. As you could see, Craig attacked early and McKeever was the first to bring him back, but that effort came with a price. He blew up completely and had to let the wheel go. Soon after, CI and Van Kutsem also dropped. So from only 8 starters, we were already down to 5 riders fighting for the win. Craig from the UK, Rousseau from France, now from the United States, my Belgian friend De Vriend, and me. I could definitely feel the morning's 100 kilometers in my legs, but on the local loop the pace was still manageable. Alright, now that the 5 of us had settled into the race, this might be the perfect moment to introduce today's battlefield. Stage 4 and the final race of the 4x4 series. Queen's Highway after party in Yorkshire. 5 laps on the local circuit featuring the long Yorkshire sprint each time, before turning onto the Yorkshire KOM Reverse for the final showdown. Just 1.2 kilometers long, but steep enough to decide the entire race. For the bike setup, I stayed loyal to the exact same setup I used in the previous races. And once again, I raced in range 2, because honestly, I'm definitely not ready for advanced yet. I quickly realized I was probably one of the heavier riders in this group during the local laps. Every time we descended after the Yorkshire sprint, I could almost roll back to the front without even pedaling. But on the false flat afterwards, I constantly had to fight to stay attached again. And it really felt like Na was trying to make that section hurt. Lap after lap, he kept pushing hard on the uphill drag, clearly hoping to crack a few riders before the final climb. But honestly, it just wasn't steep enough to really hurt me. And looking around the group, it seemed like the others were handling it pretty comfortably as well. Meanwhile, McKeever was completely gone from the race. He had abandoned. CI was already dangling at more than a minute behind, and it even started to look like Van Kutsem was about to get lapped. But at the front, nothing was separating the 5 of us. No real attacks, no cracks, no weak links. And surprisingly, my legs actually still felt pretty good. Considering the heat and the 100 kilometers earlier that day, that honestly gave me the confidence. Maybe, just maybe, I could actually fight for the podium here. Just before starting the next lap, we caught Van Kutsem, which briefly turned us back into a group of 6 riders. And honestly, it was a bit unfortunate that I only got to race this event on Sunday. Most of the riders had probably already done their race earlier in the week, and most likely in much bigger groups too. That definitely helps the average speed. Not that we were riding slowly, far from it, but in a larger pack you always get dragged along just that little bit faster. And secretly, you also hope that gives you a slightly better position in the final May rankings. Right before the Yorkshire sprint, Na launched another attack. Craig reacted instantly and countered him straight away, but once again it didn't really change anything. Everyone still looked surprisingly fresh. Every move was covered immediately, and just like the earlier attacks, this one was shut down almost before it even began. And with every pedal stroke we moved closer to the final climb, because deep down everyone knew that's where this race would truly be decided. And even though none of the attacks really managed to create a gap, they still forced all of us to repeatedly dig deep and respond. Every acceleration became another hard interval, another effort in the red, and those efforts add up. Because whether you realize it or not, you carry every single one of them with you onto that final climb. Alright, now that we all know this race was always going to end on that final climb, I do want to mention one thing before everyone starts laughing at my final result. After the race I actually did the math to see who I was really up against. De Vriend, 53 kilos, which honestly, how is that even possible for a grown man? Craig came in at 71 kilos, Na at 70, Rousseau at 68, and then there was me, 81 kilograms. So compared to the others, I was carrying at least 10 extra kilos uphill, and trust me, on a climb like the Yorkshire KOM Reverse, that's a massive disadvantage. So I told myself one thing before the climb started: the best defense is attack. The moment we hit the Yorkshire KOM, I got out of the saddle and took the front immediately. I wanted to discourage them, force them to react, maybe make them hesitate for just a second. But honestly, it was false hope. Halfway up the climb they absolutely flew past me, and that's when I finally felt the 100 kilometers from earlier that day. I just had no response anymore. Not because my legs completely exploded, but mentally. I simply didn't have that final fighting spirit left to dig even deeper for a better result. And truthfully, I don't even think super legs would have been enough to follow those guys uphill today. In the end it was De Vriend who took the win, Craig finished second and Na completed the podium. As for me, I crossed the line knowing I had absolutely emptied myself after an already brutal day on the bike. And when I checked the final rankings for the entire month of May and the full 4x4 series, I honestly couldn't believe it. Out of 28,514 riders, I finished 188 overall, and even more surprisingly 11th in Belgium. A result I can genuinely be proud of. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I will see you all again for the Level Up ZRacing series during the month of June. Thanks for watching, and until the next ride, bye bye!